This is CBC Here and Now.
Premier Andrew Furey leaves Government House this afternoon after meeting with the Lieutenant Governor.
How's everyone doing?
Good. Premier, give us your justification now for calling an election.
Lovely day, isn't it?
As campaign signs go up in St. John's.
While an official election call is just minutes away. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Peter Cowan.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. We begin tonight at the Confederation Building.
Yes, that's where the action is all going to happen. You're looking at a live shot there of the lobby of Confederation Building, where Andrew Furey, the Liberal leader, is about to announce the date of the next provincial election.
Yes, after days of speculation and government spending announcements, Furey visited the Lieutenant Governor earlier this afternoon.
Yep, this is the tradition before an election call is made, asking the Lieutenant Governor to dissolve the sitting of the legislature and draw up the writs.
Now, the signs were literally there earlier today that an election was coming. A candidate for the NDP in St. John's put up campaign signs today.
So we can expect to see a lot more signs across the province tonight after that official call is made.
Yes, now Furey is holding an event moments from now at the Confederation Building. We can see he's getting up to the podium there. So how about we just listen in?
Thank you all for being here this evening. It's hard to believe how far we've come since August. It's been a busy 5 months, to say the least, for my team and I as we jumped right in on day one to start righting the ship for the people of this province. 5 months in which I met with community leaders, with seniors, school children, proud parents, and more. I forged closer ties with Indigenous leaders. I visited all sizes of businesses and spoken with worried owners and customers alike. There's a common thread I saw running through them all. They fear, we all fear COVID-19 and how its presence has been felt longer than we all anticipated or hoped. Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are worried about the economy, and what they hear is a dark road ahead. The people of this province are concerned about the next generation and wonder if the only things they'll inherit are debt and dismay. They all work hard, but they hope for more. Their wants are simple. A government that supports them and is working day and night to change what many describe as the dire future of this place. Now my years as a doctor kick in here to give it to them straight, not to sugarcoat it. The truth may sting, but hurts less than humoring the question. And Newfoundlanders and Labradorians see right through that anyway. My answer surprises them. I tell them why I decided to run for this office, why I put my own practice aside, and who I put it aside for. It's not about me. It's about them, about their families, about all our families. I tell them about the challenge we are all facing, but I also tell them about the immense opportunity at hand. All we need is the courage to step towards it together. We need the right team with a mandate from the people of this province to be bold today for where we will go tomorrow. And I believe that is my team. I am ready. The Liberal Party of Newfoundland and Labrador is ready for the real challenge ahead. This election will be about your choice on leadership. Who you want to lead the province through the pandemic, who you want to lead through the economic challenge, who you want to sit at the table with the federal Liberal government to strike a new deal. I just visited with the Chief Justice, and she accepted my request to dissolve the House of Assembly for an election across Newfoundland and Labrador on Saturday, February 13th. I know there's been more buzz about an election as of late, and though one has to be called, I truly struggled with this decision. I know safe elections have taken place during the pandemic, but I also know that this is an uncertain and anxious time. With our COVID numbers so low, and after consulting with Dr. Haggie and public health officials, I concluded that the best and safest time is now. The people of this province deserve and desire a stable government with a mandate to work towards securing our collective future. My friends, no other time in our history has any generation of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians faced such a challenge. There is no precedent except the one we will set together. In the shadow of the pandemic or the global economic crisis, there is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity here, an opportunity to redefine who we are as a province for decades to come, to redirect our economic path in ways we never thought possible, and to reinvigorate the people of our province to expect better from their government and work with us to achieve it. Make no mistake, this is an opportunity to transform Newfoundland and Labrador. The only question is, given all we've been through in the last year, given the grim financial outlook that we've heard again and again, are we up for the challenge? Well, yes, we are. I'm up to the challenge. I'm so proud of what we've been able to accomplish in just the first 5 months of this government. Our response to the pandemic has become a nationwide example for others to follow. We have all made sacrifices and followed the direction of Dr. Haggie and Dr. Fitzgerald, never letting our guard down, even as we start to roll out the vaccine throughout the province. We got our children safely back to school and have endured the second wave so far without any major incident. Of course, maybe having 3 doctors in charge was helpful here. For our economy, there was the announcement of $320 million for the Oil and Gas Recovery Fund, $844 million to help with Muskrat Falls, a true direction to encourage immigration, the Roundtable on Gender Equity, and the Health Accord. We've made strides towards Indigenous reconciliation and are committed fully to build on that momentum. Yes, our industries are up to the challenge too. Never underestimate the resiliency and innovative nature of this place. They said Newfoundland and Labrador would end at the cod moratorium. They say we will end at oil and gas. But what they miss is how we have evolved these sectors and will continue to redefine them well into the future. On top of that, our technology sector has proven that there are no borders when it comes to the brightest ideas. NASDAQ's acquisition of Verafin proved that. And from MISA to Heyorka, there are many more startups making those same big, bold steps. Newfoundland and Labrador is indeed up to the challenge. Just ask those brave frontline workers who have put their lives on the line for us time and time again during the pandemic. Their heroic resilience inspires us all, and I can't thank them enough. Just ask those who are working offshore, the women and men who have sustained and grown our fishery and our offshore oil and gas. Ask the graduating class of Mealy Mountain Collegiate in Goose Bay, or the young athletes who dream of representing our province, or even like Alex Newhook and Dawson Mercer, our country. Ask the daycare operators, the small business owners, and those who struggle every day to make ends meet, but still rise daily to the challenge and push through. Ask them all if they are up for the challenge. The answer will not surprise you. They are. We are. Years from now, when you are asked what you did for Newfoundland and Labrador during the great pandemic, during the province's darkest economic hour, don't let your answer be, I hesitated. I fueled skepticism online. Instead, my friends, together, let us rise to the challenge so that years from now we can say that we changed the trajectory of our province. We seized the opportunity in front of us and secured the future of Newfoundland and Labrador. We are only limited by our collective will and imagination, and in this province, we all know those are limitless. This will be an election for a mandate, an election on leadership. I hope you give me the nod and the mandate we need to secure a stable future. So as we begin this election, I ask all parties, all candidates, and volunteers involved to please continue to respect the safety protocols in place for the pandemic. For everyone in Newfoundland and Labrador, please know that your safety and security are the utmost importance to us, and we will conduct this election with that top of mind. Thank you.
So, Premier, Saturday election, very fair thing. Why did you choose a Saturday for this?
Premier Andrew Furey making the pitch there. He's now taking a few questions from reporters. Let's listen in.
Environment and adding some hours. I know it's not a work day for many. It is for some, but will allow for a more space and more time.
Okay, so that is Premier Andrew Furey there. He's going to take a few more questions from reporters about why choose an election now. Made it clear in that speech there, though, COVID is one of the main things he's going to be running on, and this province's record when it comes to being able to fight off the pandemic.
And the big news there, of course, is that we now know for sure that the election will be February 13th on a Saturday, day before Valentine's Day. Now, Ches Crosby is holding his campaign launch event in downtown St. John's. You can see we're there live right now, and he's heading up to the podium, so
Let's take a listen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you very much. This election is about jobs and growth, and who has a plan to bring back jobs and get our economy growing again. Full stop. Newfoundland and Labrador's future depends on it. Even before COVID-19 struck, our province was teetering on the edge of financial ruin. Now the pandemic has pushed us over the edge, and we're hanging by our fingernails. The PC party has a credible plan to bring back jobs and get our economy moving again, which I look forward to sharing with you in the coming days. The Liberals don't have such a plan, but they do have a secret plan to slash jobs and make big cuts to public services. A plan so shocking that Andrew Furey won't let people see it. Andrew Furey's secret plan will mean fewer jobs. And not just fewer jobs in the public service, fewer jobs everywhere. Fewer jobs in your community, fewer people. The continuing downward spiral of our economy. But none of this should come as a surprise. Andrew Furey's first budget promised 13,000 job losses. And that's just the start. If Andrew Furey has the opportunity to trigger his secret plan for cuts, things for Newfoundland and Labrador families will get much worse. Our province is facing a financial emergency, and nothing but a jobs and growth strategy to turn our economy around will do. An urgent change in government is needed before it's too late. Progressive Conservatives have a plan to get jobs growing and our economy back on track. Our plan is to do things differently. As we roll out our plan in the days ahead, people will see the difference. A progressive Conservative government led by me will be a job creation machine. We will roll up our sleeves with investors to get projects rolling and jobs growing. We will slice away the red tape that's tying the hands of the businesses we want to create the jobs. We will drive job growth through targeted tax cuts and make it easier to hire and cheaper to live here. We will demand local jobs and benefits on all infrastructure projects. We will help local companies get a bigger piece of the action here and in markets abroad. The Liberals have given up on our offshore. We will make a national case for strong and fair investments to drive job growth in the energy sector. If Ottawa won't step up, we will. Job growth will bring back our people and grow the revenues needed for the services people require. That's the answer. That's been the missing piece for 5 years. For 5 years, the Liberals have ignored the warning signs of a worsening economy that were plain to see. What they have not ignored is their friends. They took very good care of the lobbyists, the backroom operators, and the political insiders that make up the inner circle of the Liberal Party. The last 5 years may have been tough for us, but it wasn't tough for them. That changes now. The days of insiders and special interests getting ahead at your expense are over. It's time for a government that puts you and your family first, always. Now, Andrew Furey says sometimes you have to cut off a leg to save a patient. Personally, I'd want my doctor to tell me if he plans to cut off my limbs before I have an amputation. And that's not what's happening today. By hiding the Liberal plan for cuts and lost jobs, Andrew Furey is sending the voters a clear message. He doesn't trust you with the truth. He expects you to trust him with your future. Well, here's the truth. No jurisdiction has ever cut its way to prosperity. Prosperity comes from hard work, collaborative decision-making, and a vision. Andrew Furey and the Liberals want us to make do with less. Progressive Conservatives believe it's time to get creative and do more with what we've got. The Progressive Conservative plan is to grow our way out of our crisis, not to cut our way out. Do we need to go line by line and find efficiencies to make our government better, smarter, more efficient? Of course we do. But Liberal cuts with no plan for jobs and growth is a recipe for disaster. When our young people see jobs and opportunity here, they will stop leaving. Growth is the solution to our crisis.
And that is Chess Crosby there speaking to supporters in St. John's, launching the PC election campaign.
Yeah, making his pitch to the voters of the province, a little taste of some of the talk we're going to be hearing over the next month. There, Peter, what stood out for you in what we just heard?
Those were two very different speeches, Carolyn. One was clearly the front runner when you look at the Liberals and where they're polling right now, 60% in the polls. His Andrew Furey, not a lot of specifics in there, but it was kind of the future is bright, it's going to be great, and a lot of talk of the pandemic. It's clear that they want that to be one of the key issues that voters have in their minds when they go to the polls is, hey, we're the team who has led you through the pandemic. Yeah. On the PC side of things, you heard a lot of talk there about the Liberals. They already firing some shots that there are going to be, there's a hidden plan for cuts, that basically you can't trust the Liberals and trust us instead. And what they're offering as an alternative is jobs, jobs, jobs. Right. So, those are the two sort of competing ideas that I think we're going to see play out as the campaigns are all going to be jockeying for, what's the key message, what's this campaign going to be about? And we saw at least a hint of that there now. And
Furey was pretty clear. He said that this is an election for a mandate, basically asking the voters of the province to give him the majority so he can that he can govern the way that he wants to govern. So that was pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, and he did kind of mention like the why now. He said, well, our COVID numbers are good. We've seen other provinces go. That was really the only thing we saw in that speech there that explained, why do we have to go to the polls in the middle of February? Why not wait for nicer weather or, more vaccines to roll out? So, do voters punish him for pulling an election in the middle of winter? Well, that hasn't been the history before, so we'll have to see what happens this time.
Yes, well, the third party in the legislature is the NDP, and coincidentally won 3 seats in the last election.
Yeah, so Alison Coffin is the leader of the party, hoping to build on those 3 seats that they won. But how is she going to do that? Alison Coffin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
So what do you think about the idea here of entering a winter election?
Well, I don't think it's particularly well thought out. Certainly, we have a number of things that we're quite concerned about. The potential for a storm is one for sure. But at the same time, the timing is pretty bad in that we know in a few months the vaccines will be rolled out, everyone will be a little bit safer. So I think the timing will be a little bit better then. And we're also still waiting for this green report. We know it's not going to come until the end of February. So it's a little suspicious that the Premier thinks it's a good idea to call the election now and instead of wait for these recommendations and let the public judge the Liberal government based on those recommendations.
But how much of your desire to have an election come later is tied to the fact that, your party is a distant third in the polls right now. You're well behind the other 2 when it comes to getting candidates in place.
Oh, it doesn't bother me at all, in fact. I mean, we are very well prepared. We will run a very good campaign, and we are here to speak up for everyday Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. And that means if we're having an election right now, we will have an election right now.
Is your party committing to having a full slate of candidates by Election Day?
Absolutely.
And what do you think this election is going to be about?
I think this election is going to be about, from our perspective, it's making sure that the priorities of everyday Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are brought to the forefront, that their needs and the things that are very important to them are being addressed in the legislature. Certainly, we're very concerned about affordability for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. We're very concerned about what's happening, what the future is going to hold for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. And we're quite concerned about what's going to happen with our healthcare system. So these are the issues that we are going to be bringing to the ground. And we want to make sure that the voices of Newfoundlanders and Labradors are heard very loudly.
COVID has changed everything about everything pretty much. What's that going to mean for how you run your campaign this time?
Well, we are going to run our campaign based on the guidelines set out by the Chief Electoral Officer. We are going to do what we've always done, reach out to the people. We are going to do that in the safest manner possible, but we want to make sure that every individual hears our message and is able to have a chat with us and make sure that they are aware of what we are running on and what we stand for.
Well, Alison Coffin, thanks for joining me and good luck in the campaign.
Thank you very much, Peter. I'm sure we're going to see lots of each other for the next little while. Hey.
At least virtually.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Going to be seeing a lot of candidates over the next month. Of course, now we know for sure February 13th is going to be Election Day, and it's safe to say winter elections aren't too popular, but this won't be the first time Newfoundland and Labrador has gone to the polls in the unpredictable snowy months.
Yeah, that's right. Here now's Mark Quinn reports on winter elections, past and present.
25 years ago this month, campaigning in a way that seems unimaginable now. It was another Liberal leader, Brian Tobin, who called this province's first winter election.
You know, I'm a shameless campaigner.
It was a hard-fought campaign for Progressive Conservative leader Lynn Verge, complicated by winter weather. In one whiteout, her PC bus was in a collision that left at least one person injured.
It's a terrible time of year to have an election campaign.
Still, it worked out well for Tobin. 37 of 48 seats won by Liberals.
A strong Liberal majority government, and we celebrate that tonight.
It's the kind of result the Liberal minority government is hoping for, but will calling a winter election hurt their chances? This Munn political science professor doesn't think so.
There's always complaints about that, and it never matters.
Matthews says that whatever pushback there might be usually fades as the campaign progresses. He says the pandemic, something that's been specific to provincial elections this year, like British Columbia's, is more important.
They called an election in British Columbia in the fall. I mean, then it was controversial when it was called, and they got some pushback, but they ended up with a pretty thumping majority. So I think governments that are seen to be performing well on the pandemic, it's like a growing economy. It's something everybody wants.
Matthews says bad weather on Election Day is likely to dissuade younger and lower income voters. something he says might favor the progressive Conservatives.
Higher income and older voters tended to be PC voters.
And as for the weather today, it's a perfect day for a snowball fight or an election call. And if the weather does get too nasty on polling day, Elections NL says it can be moved. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, before tonight's election call, the government announced a few things. It reached a deal with teachers. The tentative agreement with the NLTA will see their current collective agreement extended for 2 years until August 31st, 2022. The details will be presented to teachers over the coming weeks.
Now, the government is also giving money to the refinery in Come By Chance to keep it running while the owners look for a new owner. It's giving the North Atlantic refinery more than $16.5 million so it can keep workers employed to keep the facility running idle so that the company doesn't have to fully shut it down. The money will support 75% of labor costs and 50% of some non-labor related costs for keeping the operation running in an idle mode. The government says this funding should keep 200 people employed for now.
Well, there's a new dispute brewing in the province's offshore oil industry. The companies behind the White Rose project are taking the provincial government to court, saying they've overpaid royalties. Husky Oil Operations and Suncor Energy say they're supposed to pay the greater of 2 royalty levels for White Rose in a certain period, but not both. They say that's something that's happening even though that's not the way the system is supposed to work. So they've gone to court. The application doesn't specify an exact amount being sought by the oil companies, but affidavits from Husky and Suncor officials say they overpaid more than $32 million in total from 2014 through to 2017. The province declined comment, saying it wouldn't be appropriate to do so while the case is before the courts.
Well, that is a live shot outside the CBC studio. Can't see too much there because it was a very snowy day, and that snow will continue. Another 5 to 10 centimeters expected overnight. I'll have all the details coming up. Well, time for a look at the weather forecast. I'm filling in for Ashley tonight. What a snowy day in St. John's today. This is a look at the satellite and radar shot. You can see the snow is still coming down out there, and it's going to continue on for most of the night. At about 5 o'clock today, St. John's Airport reported about 13 centimeters of snow, but we can expect another 5 to 10 coming, and those winds ramping up. There's a wind warning in place for the eastern portion of the Avalon Peninsula, gusting upwards of 80, 100 along the coast. So with all of that freshly fallen snow, it's going to be some pretty poor visibility out there tonight. So you can see that the snow is going to continue through this evening. Tonight, another 5 to 10 centimeters, as I said, an overnight low of -1 with those high winds as well for the Avalon Peninsula. For the rest of the island, fairly clear. Could see a few scattered flurries in the Corner Brook area. Light winds there and an overnight low of -10. For Labrador, some cool temperatures. Wind chill -17 in Lab City. Mostly cloudy skies tonight and some clearing as you go towards the coast there. So looking ahead to Saturday, that snow should start to clear off, but in for a mostly cloudy day for the east. Could see some flurries in the morning, but other than that, it's pretty clear on the island and for much of Labrador. Some cloudy skies there you can see for Lab City and the western portion, and those winds should continue into tomorrow into the afternoon. So we could see those flurries in the morning, then some clearing with those high winds. Temperatures around -1 tomorrow, 0 for the Clarenville area, and some cloudy skies there. But along the south coast in Harbour Breton, lots of sunshine there, a mix of sun and cloud for central areas. So pretty quiet overall for the rest of the island tomorrow. Sunshine as well for the west and some light winds. As we head up to the Straits, sunshine for Mary's Harbour tomorrow, -3 as the high there. A southwesterly wind gusting up to 20, so pretty calm winds there. For the rest of Labrador, calm winds for Lab West and some cloudy skies, -6 as the high there, and -6 as well for the Makovic area. So looking ahead to Sunday, this is the next weather maker. You can see it coming up through the Maritimes. Gonna bring a lot of wet and snowy weather to the Maritimes, but it's gonna start to ease as it hits us. It's a very big system, but it's not going to bring us a ton of rain. Right now, Environment Canada thinks it could be about 5 to 15 millimeters of rain for the island, and for Labrador, maybe 5 to 10 centimeters of snow. So it's a big system, but it's going to start to dissipate as it heads towards us. So looking ahead to Sunday there, you can see some rain for the east and for central areas, much of the island. Temperatures bumping up to above the freezing mark, 2-3 degrees. That system is going to bring a lot of wind for the southwestern portion of the island. In the Wreck House area, we could see a wind warning in place there. For Labrador, you can see the snow, -6 in Lab City on Sunday, -7 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. So looking ahead to the beginning of the work week, some snow continuing for Labrador as well for the west coast of the island. For St. John's, we could see a mix of snow and rain, 3 degrees as the high on Monday, and there's the snow, the flurries on the west coast there for Corner Brook, a high of 1 there. For Labrador, 0 for Cartwright, and some snow up there. So the next system that Environment Canada is keeping their eye on is for Tuesday. You can see it moving up here, some rain, some snow, some mixed precipitation in there, so it's hard to say what the amounts will be, but that's definitely something that Environment Canada is keeping its eye on for Tuesday. All right, so look at the long range, that mix of snow and rain for Tuesday. Temperatures starting to take a dip on Wednesday midweek with some flurries there, -4 as the high for Wednesday. For central areas, similar story on Tuesday, and -6 as the high on Wednesday with some flurries there. And as well for the west coast, some flurries on Wednesday at -6. Lots of flurries there as you begin the work week for the west. In Labrador, looking at lots of flurries there, sunshine on Saturday, and then lots of flurries as you continue on through the week. A real dive in temperatures on Wednesday, -15 as the high there. And for Western Labrador, minus 15 on Tuesday, minus 21 on Wednesday. So really, really cooling down there. So I wanted to show you this photo from Mark Gray, who usually takes beautiful photos of Bonavista, but was in St. John's today. I actually pulled this off of his Twitter feed. I just loved it because so much snow in St. John's today, and of course the iconic Fort Amherst. So yeah, just a very pretty day in St. John's. So if you have a photo that you would like to see on our show, please send it to us. You can send it to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
A little bit of snow there, but last time this year, we were bracing ourselves for a whole lot of snow, what would eventually be known as Snowmageddon, one of the worst snowstorms in our province's history. Now, the official anniversary is going to be Sunday, but it was a Friday that we were all hunkered down. So this year, COVID has us staying close to home, but last year, it was this blizzard. In some parts of St. John's Metro, more than 90 centimeters of snow fell. And don't forget, we already had snow on the ground.
Oh, wow. That brings back a lot of memories. By 11 a.m., a state of emergency was declared in the capital city. Vehicles were ordered off the roads and stores shut down. On Monday, we're going to look back on this monumental storm and some of the stories that came out of it.
Yeah, at least that was one emergency that we were able to melt our way out of.
I found the whole thing really joyous, you know, that people from Kent, England and people from, you know, Newfoundland are connected by song. That's awesome.
What do Alan Doyle, a singer from the UK, and TikTok all have in common? Well, I'm going to tell you. That story coming up on Here and Now.
Well, in COVID news now, there is one new case to tell you about in this province. Like yesterday, it involves international travel, a woman in the Eastern Health region who is between the ages of 20 and 39. That brings the number of active cases in Newfoundland and Labrador to 5, with still one person in hospital. Well, with an election underway, who manages the pandemic? There will still be one briefing a week, but the Chief Medical Officer of Health says she'll keep doing her job.
Policies are in place. We feel comfortable with them. So I think at this point, we'll be carrying on with the status quo.
And that in the event of urgency or emergency, the Minister is still the Minister and the Premier is still the Premier and Cabinet is still Cabinet until they are sworn in by their replacements. And I think that framework provides some comfort.
Well, an RCMP officer was arrested today. Constable Michael Wheeler, most recently stationed in Holyrood, is charged with careless use of a firearm and pointing a firearm. That's in connection with an incident 3 years ago involving Wheeler and an acquaintance at a private residence on Bell Island. Now, Wheeler has been suspended with pay since last February. The province's Serious Incident Response Team and RNC have been investigating. Wheeler was released on conditions and is now awaiting trial. Well, to Corner Brook now, where the trial continues for Thomas Whittle. 9 witnesses have taken the stand over the last 2 days. 29-year-old Whittle is representing himself in the trial, where he's accused of driving a snowmobile impaired, colliding with a taxi van, resulting in the death of passenger Justin Pollard. Court concluded this afternoon with the 14 jurors viewing dozens and dozens of autopsy photographs and of Pollard. Of Pollard. Here now's Colleen Connors explains.
Constable Jonathan Moran, a forensic specialist with the RCMP, took to the stand this afternoon to go over pictures that he took of the scene of the 2 vehicles and of some clothing around this accident that took place in February of 2017. Now, Whittle, on cross-examination, requested that pictures from the autopsy be selected and put into evidence as well, wanting the jury to see these pictures. Whittle apologized to the jury and said that these pictures would be difficult to view, but he wanted them to see bruises on Pollard's shoulder and hip. Now, the jury witnessed these photos on a large projector screen in the courtroom, and members of Pollard's family were in the courtroom as well, and they seemed quite upset to see these photos. Whittle faces 1 charge of dangerous driving causing death and 3 charges of impaired driving causing death. He has pleaded not guilty. Witnesses, including cab drivers, passengers, first responders, and police officers, said a snowmobile going at a high speed drove across this Humber Valley Resort Bridge at 4 a.m. and collided front on with a taxi van that happened to be pulled over to the side of the entrance of the bridge. Many also said that neither Whittle or Pollard were wearing helmets, winter coats, hats, or mitts. One witness, the front passenger in that taxi van named Alex Robbins, says that he can remember a snowmobile key found under Pollard's body when the paramedics were putting him on a stretcher at the accident scene. The volunteer fire chief for Little Rapids Steadybrook, Sean Lehman, was one of the first people on the scene that night around 4 a.m. And he says he can remember overhearing Whittle say to the paramedics, "I have a good buzz on and I'm not feeling any pain." This is when Lehman was assisting the paramedics to get Whittle into an ambulance and onto a stretcher. He says, that line, that quote really stood out to him, but he did go on to say that sometimes trauma can make people act quite differently at the scene of such a traumatic accident. Now, Whittle is representing himself in this trial, but he does frequently ask questions to friend of the court, Randy Piercy, who's a well-known criminal defense lawyer in this province. Piercy was appointed by Justice George Murphy to assist, give advice, but not make decisions for Whittle. Whittle very often will only ask 1 or 2 questions during the cross-examination. Now, Code says she will ask witnesses for 2 or 3 more days of this trial, so that would take us into the middle of next week. Then Whittle has the opportunity to call his own witnesses. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Sea shanties are the first hot trend of 2021. Yeah, no, you got it right, sea shanties. It's a long-time tradition here. Many across the world, though, are just learning about the songs for the first time thanks to social media. Singer-songwriter Alan Doyle plays a part in it all, although he didn't even know it. Here and Now's Jeremy Eaton brings you that story.
In the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, songs and the sea, well, they go hand in hand. But not every place is as familiar with sea shanties as we are here in this province. But that's starting to change. And a large part of that has to do with the social media app, TikTok. That's because sea shanty songs is one of the hottest trending topics so far this year on TikTok. Videos featuring people singing these songs have been viewed millions upon millions of times. But there is one in particular that's caught the attention of a local singer and songwriter. Now the song is being sung by a UK singer named Sam Pope, and it has 1.3 million views, and it's closing in on 260,000 likes.
I'll sing you a song, it's a song of the sea. Row me bully boys row.
I wrote that song for a scene in the Robin Hood movie. There was a scene where the merry men are coming back from France, and they wanted the drunken sailors or soldiers to be singing a shanty.
That was back in 2009. Doyle then sort of forgot about the song for a while until he began recording his third solo album. Producer Bob Rock was looking for something more traditional, so Doyle offered that up. However, he had to look for it, so he went onto YouTube to see if he might have played it live.
And I was totally surprised to see that there was dozens, if not hundreds of versions of people singing Row Me Bully Boys with some of my verses, some of their own verses. The song had made its way around the world exactly the way a shanty should.
Row me bully boys row.
This week, a friend showed him that the sea shanty was making waves again.
And it's row me bully boys, we're in a hurry boys, we got a long way to go. And we'll sing and we'll dance and bid farewell to France, and it's row me bully boys row.
Delighted, of course, because nothing better than anybody, singing one of your songs. But also, I found the whole thing really joyous, that people are connecting that way.
Row me bully boys row.
That's a song in a movie from 2009, sung in a very traditional fashion, as ancient kind of a fashion as you could think, that's being harnessed by the newest kind of technology by people all over the world. Days like these, you need something to make you smile, and that certainly made me smile when I saw it.
Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, St. John's.
That is so cool.
And I gotta say, props to Jeremy for his very sea shanty appropriate outfit there.
You look like he should be singing one.
Yeah, although I would have liked to have seen him, he could have done his own verse there. We saw all those other people who can, come up with there once was a reporter with a fancy new hat. There's so many possibilities there. Let's take a look at who's celebrating this week. Happy 57th wedding anniversary to Stan and Frances of Northern Arm. Happy 50th wedding anniversary going out to Paul and Gloria Ballot of Port-au-Port. Dougal and Phyllis Knoll of Stephenville are celebrating their 59th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. Toby and Susie Abbott from Musgrave Harbour celebrated their 63rd anniversary. You can see them here in their early days courting in Gander Bay. Happy 55th wedding anniversary to Maurice and Yvonne Wilcott of St. Albans. Happy 59th anniversary to Earl and Mary Oram. Happy 69th anniversary to Raymond and Emma Foster of Burlington.
Happy 56th anniversary to Gilbert and 80 Keeping of Burnt Islands. Happy 56th wedding anniversary to John and Loretta Martin from Portugal Cove, who celebrated on Boxing Day, and their children are apologizing for sending this in late. Happy 62nd wedding anniversary to Ted and Louise Ryan of Monroe. Pat and Bruce Strong of St. John's are celebrating their 50th anniversary. Happy 56th anniversary to Phyllis and Ron Peddle of Chance Cove. Happy anniversary to Melvin and Lena Grandy of Garnish, who are celebrating their 68th wedding anniversary. Best wishes to Jerry and Wavy Richards on their 66th anniversary.
Happy 54th anniversary to Junior and Judy Wells of Mount Moriah. Raymond and Elizabeth Kearney of Croak are celebrating their 51st wedding anniversary. Happy 66th wedding anniversary to Austin and Edith Patey from River of Ponds. Happy anniversary to John and Jenny Poole of Georgetown, who will be celebrating their 52nd wedding anniversary. It's a 50th anniversary for Thomas and Rosalind Stack of Gander. Happy 50th anniversary to Clarence and Ann Molan of Blaketown. Anniversary greetings going out to Ken and Phyllis Roberts of Forteau, who will be celebrating 63 years of marriage.
Now to some birthdays. Rose Casey is celebrating her 94th birthday. Rose is from Conch and now lives in St. John's. Happy birthday to Maud Strobridge of Corner Brook, celebrating her 92nd birthday. Special 91st birthday greetings going out to Whitfield McGraw, who lives in Clarenville but is from New Bonaventure. Happy 90th birthday to Annie Cooper of Trinity East, now living in Clarenville. Happy birthday to Elizabeth Purchase, better known as Aunt Lizzie from Norris Arm, who is celebrating her 91st birthday. Happy 92nd birthday to Gladys Hussey from Bell Island. Birthday greetings going out to Mita Pie, who is celebrating her 90th birthday. She's from Lodge Bay, Labrador, but now lives in Charlottetown.
Birthday greetings to Nora Bradley of Eastport, who turns 94. Happy 96th birthday to Nellie Greenham of Twillingate. Huey Abbott of Bonavista will be celebrating his 91st birthday this weekend. Birthday greetings going out to Bernard Tobin, who celebrated his 91st birthday. Happy 91st birthday to Robert Chalk of Charlottetown, Bonavista Bay. Happy 94th birthday to Joan Barber of St. John's. Birthday greetings to Cecilia Walsh, who's turning 91. She lives in Stephenville. Happy 90th birthday to Frank Dempsey of Fleur-de-Lis.
Arthur Inkpen, who lives in Clarenville, is celebrating his 100th birthday. What a milestone. Happy birthday. It's another 100th birthday. This one is for Ellie Vitch. Happy birthday, Ellie. Happy 93rd birthday to Lily Penny, who is 93, living in Springdale. Happy 95th birthday to Trixie Hayes of Clarenville. Happy birthday to Elva Rideout of Corner Brook, celebrating her 103rd birthday. Hope you had a great day. Happy birthday to Bruce Simmons of Greens Harbor, who turns 95. Another fine crowd. Congratulations once again.
Fine crowd, but probably not a fine weekend, especially to be launching an election campaign in the eastern part of the province.
Yeah, snowy start to the election campaign for sure. About 5 to 10 centimeters of snow expected to fall in the St. John's area tonight, so be careful if you're out driving tonight.
And that's it for us. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll be back with you on Monday.
Good night.